Love it.
Okay. I try to keep it short. The question is it's about the relationship between mind and the body and the trauma that is saved in the body
Mhm.
from past experiences or maybe even through generations. And from my experience, around 4.5 years ago, I had a lot of problems with anxiety, fear, and so on, and also other issues, low self-esteem, low confidence, all of that. And then I watched a video about it's about questioning beliefs, where it was back then I didn't know it has had anything to do with enlightenment or whatever. It was, I guess, this netty approach where you're not this, you're not this, you're not this. And I said, and I was in a point of time where I was able to question everything because of my work. A lot of things happened, and therefore I was able to question the beliefs. And I said, yeah, right, I cannot be this, and I cannot be this, and I cannot be this. And then after that, days passed, I felt so good, and I did not know why. Like, I feel no fear. I was in a bus, and normally I was always really scared being in a bus because people watching me. I was always insecure about how I look, and I thought people don't like me. And but just I don't know why I just feel really good, and this was like 2 weeks where I felt really great, and my mind was empty. It was really great. But then all the stuff of my past came up, and I tried the same method. I thought, okay, it's my mind producing this because I had zero body awareness. I did not know anything about my body and what feelings mean. I had no idea. And then I tried everything with my mind, trying to get rid of what kind of belief is causing this problem. Why do I feel pain? I don't understand. And then even if I'm really quiet, this pain is still there. And then I used different methods like the feminine approach, and I see now it works. And I feel more emotional now. Back then I was really uh, no emotion but fearless, kind of like a robot, right? And and the question is, what is the we blame the mind for every problem, every suffering, but the mind was kind of deactivated. It's like it was dumb. I had no thought in my head, but my body felt like really terrible. And the thing is, can it be that maybe we blame the mind too much for this suffering that we have? Well, that's the question.
Yeah. Well, mind is really a concession to the idea of karma, because you're very right in that the mind is totally innocent in and of itself, which is why we sometimes say the mind makes a wonderful servant and a horrible master, because it's just reflecting what we give attention to, what we have interest in. So a sage would say, show me a mind and I'll show you how to get rid of it. You can't show me the mind. The mind is another idea. And that idea is actually the accumulation of all our identifications. I am this person, this trauma happened to me. I wish that didn't happen. I wish this did happen, on and on and on. And the mind just reflects those karmic attachments. It just reflects those identities. And this is what we call vasanas in the Advaita tradition. Vasana means a mental tendency. We all have these mental tendencies, and they are incredibly subtle and incredibly obvious. So we have to just begin with the obvious ones, like, oh, I see that I always react this way to this kind of experience, meaning the mind has memorized a reaction from my past. And that's all a defense mechanism is, right? When a trauma appears and you feel those feelings of terror or adrenaline or sadness or whatever the trigger is, that's a memorized reaction from when it first happened at 4 years old or whenever. And so from that point forward, the mind has just kept giving you that memorized response to that stimulus because you gave a lot of attention and significance to that reaction. The mind says, well, lots and lots of attention was endowed upon this reaction, so it must be very important to the person. So let's capture that, save it as important data, and we'll use it again and again whenever that same stimulus appears. So yeah, we can't blame the mind for that. It's just doing what it's programmed to do. So mind, lowercase m, and there's different ways we can use the term mind. In Buddhism, for example, mind, capital M, refers to like consciousness or awareness. We're using it here as the Advaita tradition would use it as the ego or the separate self, mind. So it's important to recognize it's just an accumulation of karma. And the karma I accumulate translates into these mental tendencies, being very melodramatic to get my point to be heard. The ways we respond, the things we do, the things we seek after, we're sort of trapped in these automatic programs that need to be recognized by awareness. And when we recognize, oh, that's just a mental tendency. That's not who I am. That's not what I want. I don't want to think that about myself. I don't want to feel insecure when I'm around this person or that person. Then they start to disappear once they're seen by awareness. And as we slowly become aware of more and more of these vasanas and they disappear from our experience, we have what you experienced as that very quiet, empty mind, full of happiness and joy, totally connected to the moment. And you realize, yeah, there really isn't a mind, like a separate entity called mind that I'm wrestling with doesn't exist, right? It's just an accumulation of wrong identities. And we see them and transcend them piece by piece, usually. Sometimes we have experiences like you had, or I had, or many people have, where you see that truth so deeply that it kind of blows the doors off of your vasanas for a while, because it's sort of like if you've already watched a movie, you already know it's going to happen. The movie can't grip you emotionally anymore. The old habits can't grip you anymore when you know for a fact they're not real and they're not who you are. And then, as we've said on this call a few times, the mind will try to gain its territory back, and it will, bring the old programming back online. And that's almost always inevitable. But once you've glimpsed the sahaja state, as you described, you had an experience that this is so much more real than the belief in being a separate person ever was. So even when I'm in that belief, I'm a separate person again who has these desires and fears, a part of you isn't there anymore. There's still a part of you that knows it's not real. A part of you is awake in the matrix, right? So freedom is always about abiding in that part of you that's awake and just refusing as much as you can to be that part of you that's in the matrix. And wherever you shift your allegiance, or interest is a better way, whatever you're more interested in is what will become your reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. For me, I don't know. Do we have enough time, or do I talk too much?
No,
Okay.
Go for it.
For me, the mind isn't the problem anymore.
Very good.
And also the karma and so on, the trauma is kind of okay now. And the thing is, I feel every day I feel better, and I feel kind of more powerful, but it's not like a power that is how to say this. I don't have power over people.
Right.
It's kind of and I'm also not controlling anything. It's more like I become more like life itself, and I get the qualities of life. I can see it in myself then. But on the other hand, it's like there's no real goal. There's nothing to accomplish. And but at the same time, no matter what I do, because I have this kind of energy, maybe not all the time. Sometimes I really feel terrible, but sometimes I feel this energy, and then everything is really simple, effortless, and but I tell myself, for what reason? I mean, all this, the people are like in this dream, and if they wouldn't be in this dream, they would have the same energy. They had everything that I have, everyone has. So is it my goal or my purpose here just to be myself and then help people to wake up? Yeah, that's the question.
Absolutely. Just by being yourself, you will help people wake up. There's nothing to do. Like, okay, I'm now myself. Now let me go save people. Just by being yourself, you are saving people. Being in the natural state, as you recognized, everyone's in that state. They just don't see it because they're asleep to it. And this is why, in the Ashtavakra Gita, it says, the sage is asleep where others are awake, and the sage is awake where others are asleep. Meaning everyone is asleep to the self, and the sage is awake to the self. The sage is asleep to being a person. Everyone else is awake as a person. So it's a total opposite state of consciousness, but there is just the one consciousness. Everyone is that. So by being in that state, your own energy, your own embodiment of it will slowly pull people into it. You become the living example of one who is awake in the dream. You don't even need to talk about it. Maybe life will direct you to talk about it. I'm sure it will, but that's not the primary way that you transmit it to others, right? You just be solidified in it yourself. And from what you just described to me, everything you just said, if we were playing whack-a-mole, you whacked every single mole that just popped out of that hole by the things you just said. I'm not controlling anything. I'm life itself. There's nothing to do. There's no goal. Bingo, bingo, bingo. So now the only job to do is to recognize all of these beautiful qualities I'm recognizing, the peace, the fact that I don't care what other people think about me. I don't believe I'm this body any longer. I have so much love for others. I have so much power for others now. Recognize that all of that is me. It's not something outside of me that I've discovered. It is, I've remembered who I am. I am that beauty. I am that light. And as you know that as yourself, it deepens and deepens and you fall more in love with it. And that's the practice of embodiment, is just to love that, to want that more than anything else. And inner guru does the rest for you. Inner guru brings to your awareness other tendencies, other blind spots you hadn't seen. And literally you have to do nothing but want that state, want that freedom to be your natural state. And you will start recognizing very quickly with laser-like accuracy all of those things that were blinding you from it. And in fact, you'll get to a point where you recognize things that are so subtle that you couldn't even describe them in words, like movements of the mind, shifts in perception, little things that were keeping you trapped in duality. You'll start to go, oh man, I never saw that before. And another release. And you couldn't even explain it to somebody, but awareness was able to catch it. That's how free your real state is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Really helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you for your question.